I started with nothing, no college education, but just a heart and desire to want more. And society today has taught people today that, wanting is bad. If you want to be super successful, it's bad. You should share your wealth. Yeah, that's awesome. I tell young kids today, go want that big truck. Go want that nicer house. Because when you get that, you can do so much more in the community that's just, want to just stay normal. Every day I challenge myself, what's next? But you should always want more and drive to have more. And that's my success in life. That's where I kind of sit right now.
You're listening to the Gorilla State Investing Podcast. We're not here to bruise your bananas with guru sales pitches, overrated fluff, or any other kind of monkey business. We simply provide the ground-pounding truth about what it takes to be successful in real estate.
All right, Gorillas, today's guest is Chris Olexa, coming to us from Texas. Chris owns franchises, and he runs franchises through his group Aspire2B. He runs Buffalo Wild Wings, Rusty Taco, Mellow Mushrooms, Arby's, and even Starbucks. Chris, welcome to the show, brother. Happy to have you. How you doing today?
Oh, doing great, man. Thanks for inviting me on here.
So I'll just get straight to it, Chris. What are you doing, or what have you done to get out of the middle class?
Wow. Okay. So I wouldn't even classify myself in the past of being in the middle class, man. Where I grew up, mom and dad divorced when I was a young kid, grew up with just my mother, wasn't the best role model in the house at all. And lived on a street that you would probably not want to drive down in the middle of the night. But no, I just saw it growing up in life, like how not to want to live, like you didn't want to live like this. And I seen my friends that I'd see in school and, had great homes, and I would actually had no curfew. I had no rules in my house. My mom was a severe alcoholic. I didn't even drink in high school because, I saw the bad part of that. So, man, in high school, I went to school just to play football. If I got a 70 in my class, man, I'm super happy, just so I can keep playing football. But as I was growing up, man, I just saw the nice things that people had and kind of how they lived comfortably and didn't have to worry about, even eating. And that's a whole nother topic with my family. But man, I grew up and I'd be at a beach with friends in my little raggedy car and see people drive by in nice vehicles. And I told myself, I'm gonna have that one day. I'm gonna want that one day. I remember it all started just my mom getting evicted from different places and just bad stuff, man. And so, man, I started working, and when I was 15, I lied on my application to go work for Walmart. So, and that was the old days that they didn't have a computer, the old punch card, kind of when you punched in. And so it took a little while for, I guess, my social security number to kind of hit their HR and do payroll, and realized after 2 months, my manager called me in and said, dude, you're not even 16. You can't work here. And, and I told him why I had to work. And so he invited me back, said, come back when you're 16. But man, it all started for me really too. Also, I was in the principal's office and we got called in for something that happened in the school. We're in the conference room, and there was a big dry erase board, and there was like 50 names wrote on the board. And, I was a football player, 265, big kid, tough guy kind of. And I saw my name, and I asked the principal, I said, why is my name on the board? He said, well, that's a dropout list. I said, dropout list? He said, you're on the dropout list. I said, so society, at that point, when I went and left there, I said, society's already kind of dictating and trying to tell me what I'm supposed to be. They didn't ask me that. Wow. They didn't call me in and say, hey, you're going to drop out. Now, I know I wasn't the best student, meaning I went to school because I had an awesome girlfriend I had to see every day, and I had to play football. But I had no ambitions after that because I didn't know what to do. I wanted to do something. But that right there, man, was a turning point in my life, because that really made me look at, and people do it today where we judge people. Like, what are you going to do? What this kid's going to be this one day? And I thought, man, watch this. I'm going to change the world. And and I stayed that focused. And I told my wife, now was my high school sweetheart, I said, I'm going to own my own business one day. She said, are you? And I said, yes. So when graduating, didn't graduate in the top 10%, graduated in the bottom 10%. So not any college is going to let me in. So I did go to a small community college, went for about a year. realized there's no pictures in the books, but for me, like, wait a minute, this is not good. My wife was going to SFA at the time, being a nursing student, and I said, I can't do this. I still had jobs, but man, I just started focusing on, what I need to do to start my own business. And I worked multiple jobs, but growing up, and I worked for a furniture store. I started out in the back when I was 18 after I quit Walmart, putting furniture together, delivering furniture. The owner was a young guy, had a great family. He was kind of my mentor, kind of watching him like, dude, I want to live like him. He had a big Z71 truck, just a nice house. But I started kind of following him just mentally and watching him, how he dressed, how he talked, how he handled himself. So, and I kind of rose up through the ranks, man. He called me in one day, said, man, you're really good at talking to guests. When you deliver furniture, they always call me and give me a compliment. I was like, well, I carried a 300-pound entertainment center upstairs, and I convinced them the scratch on it was good because I don't want to carry it back downstairs. So he moved me to sales up front, promised me more money, moved me to sales, did really well with that, kind of caught on that, chatty catty gets sales and your own commission. That's what really works. And you might tell the same story 10 times a day, but still it worked. They bought more from you. And then he offered me the management job one day because he didn't want to work every day, but he would handle the back stuff. I just handled the sales stuff. So I taught myself every day how to run a business. Took over his company, running it really, doing about $800,000 a year. When I left there, I was doing $2 million. And I thought, man, I got something special. But man, I just studied franchising, studied books every day, man, and just went to the bookstore. Me and my wife saved every penny we had. She has a story behind her too, kind of similar, but she did graduate with a nursing degree, bought our first little townhouse and saved every penny we had. Kirk kept looking at franchising, looking at businesses because it was an easy way to get into this business, and never thought I'd be selling in a restaurant or, doing food. But we shopped around and we bought our first concept, which was Quiznos. Now that was years back when Quiznos was really just starting to take off. And got our foot in the door, begged and pleaded a bank to loan us money, and had to really beg and plead. We saved $40,000, bought our first little Quiznos, quit my job, didn't know how I was going to make rent when I opened this place up. We prayed over it and the line out the door, man, first day, just unbelievable. I will tell you this though, where you in business, and you can probably vouch for this. A lot of people in this business can vouch. You've had ups and downs, but the day I opened that business, I went home at midnight because I worked all day and never been in that business. I trained for it, but you never, when you get thrown to the wolves, it's like, wait a minute. I remember coming home, grabbing a salad out of the cooler because that's all I had to eat because I couldn't eat anything else. Brought it home and was eating it. My wife came out. We had just had a baby, and I was crying. And she said, why are you crying? I said, I can't do this. There was a line out the door all day. People wanted sandwiches. I can't keep up with this. My employees, I had trainers there from corporate, but I just couldn't do it. And she kind of laughs at me. So you got to do it. We just signed a big mortgage to pay for it.
You better make it happen.
Yeah. So, every day I came home, I cried less. But after about 7 days, I came home and she said, I see a Superman cape on you. I said, yeah, that's right. I got this. I can do this. And man, I just busted my butt, man. And this, we all vouch for this. You work hard and you grind at that point until you really get smart at what grinding really means. But I worked every day for at least 2 years, man. Built that thing up, opened my second one, and then sold those two and got into Buffalo Wild Wings and kind of started all over when Buffalo Wild Wings was a brand that we just taken off. Begged and pleaded to get in that brand and worked every day. I was the general manager of that store for my first Buffaloes for 2 years. Missed a lot of time out of my kids' life, but again, grinding every day. And man, now here we are. We own 13 restaurants and just signed a deal to do 10 more. We do Buffalo Wild Wings. We do Arby's, Mellow Mushroom, Rusty Taco. Just signed our deal to open our first Starbucks, which is amazing to us. And a lot of other stuff coming down the pipeline really quickly. So, I go back and say this, man, that, I started with nothing, no college education, but just a heart and desire to want more. And society today has taught people today that, wanting is bad. if you want to be super successful is bad. You should share your wealth. Yeah, that's awesome. Get there and you could do that. I love doing that. But still, I tell young kids today, go want that big truck. Go want that nicer house. Because when you get that, you can do so much more in the community that's just, want to just stay normal. I don't see how people do that. How they just want to kind of, go to their work every day and not want more. Every day I challenge myself, what's next? And what can we do that? Because we're changing lives. Not only my life has changed. I mean, it's amazing. I pinch myself. I walk in my office every day. We have almost 1,000 employees that work for us. And the kid that was on the dropout list and my principal saw me a while back at a church function, and he just shook his head. He said, I can't believe it. And I said, well, God is good, and thank you for putting my name on that board, man. So, yeah, I think that's where my success and how it's driven me is just, seeing people with nice stuff. And I still do that, man. I still look at people and look at this guy and say, man, how's he doing it? And be humble enough to watch other people in this business. And it's okay to steal, man. I share my stuff all the time because that's what we should do. But you should always want more and drive to have more. And that's my success in life, is just being able. And then now what's cool is having people work for me that I see. One of my guys that works for me, he had a gender reveal invited over for us when we watched it. And it was at his house. He just moved to my hometown. He moved here from Florida. He was a general manager when we hired him from Buffalo's. And now he's one of our multi-unit managers. And dude, I walked in his house. I was like, this is your house? He said, yeah, I just bought it, Chris. I'm like, this is amazing, man. This makes my heart feel so good because I never had anything like this, growing up or at your age. So, so that's kind of where I sum it up at, man. I hope I didn't go too long about that question, but that's where I kind of sit right now.
Yeah, there's no going too long, brother. It's just whatever your story is. And it sounds like, the typical story. You put out, you grind out, and then you reap what you sow. But I know that 5-minute synopsis, there's a lot deeper to go with that. And the one thing I want to point out is I can tell that your relationship with your wife, Kimberly, has propelled you through this business. Like, you guys are tied to the hip. I've only seen you a couple of times, but every picture, she's there at the grand opening of Buffalo Wild Wings. She was there. Is she kind of your Barney and Clyde duo? Is she like, talk about some of the, like, how she's pulled you out of those dark moments and how important that is?
Man, my wife, so dating her in high school, she'll tell you this story. She sat right beside me in 8th grade, and she was a cheerleader. And, again, I was an offensive lineman. So at that time, she was dating the quarterback in 8th grade. And she still will say, I never remember sitting beside you in computer class in 8th grade. But just when I first asked her out, man, in 10th grade, she has a story, too, behind her, man. Mom and dad died when she was an infant. Mom committed suicide when she was in 8th grade, was raised, multiple house passed around, was raised by her very Southern Baptist grandmother, very strict. Even during college, I tell the story, during college when she come home, she couldn't be on the phone after 11 o'clock at night. I had to have her home at 11 o'clock. Why? She's a sophomore in college. So, but no, it's funny, I'll tell you this, man. She brought me, when I asked her out on a date and we started dating, she said, do you go to church? I said, no, I don't go to church. You never been to church? I said, no. She said, I know there's something special out there, but I've just never been introduced to that, man. I've been introduced to a lot of demons in my life, but, I fought off, but. So she said, well, my grandmother don't let me date anybody that go to church with me. And I said, man, you're so hot. Yeah, I'll go to church any day. Yeah. So, man, that's where it started, man. And then, man, she is like, I will say this in many speeches I go, and I'm very humble, so don't take this the wrong way, but I'm one of the finest sailboats, and we all are as men. I think entrepreneurs or grinders, we're the finest sailboat that you could put on the water. I mean, the sleekest for these races or what, but you can't go anywhere unless you have sails on those things. You could just sit there and bobble around, and you could spend millions of dollars on the best sailboat, but if you don't have the right sail or sails on there, you're not going to go anywhere. And that's what she is to me. We play off each other, man. She doesn't like to do stuff like this. She doesn't like to go on stage. She's behind the scenes a lot. She's one that lets me get up there and we'll talk. And as soon as we get in the car to drive away from something I might have did, a speech or something, she kind of taps me or says, you did really well in here, but I wouldn't say that. That didn't sound too well. Or, and so she's always coaching me, man, always. And she is a go-getter too. I mean, she loves to change lives. She loves the homeless. Man, so she loves giving stuff away. But she's one that's always pushing me to do more and be better, just like our family and people that work for us. But I think what makes a good combination is you can't have people that are both wanting to be the alpha, right? You can't be. She couldn't be an alpha. We'd struggle with that. But her office is right down from mine. She loves the back of the house business. She controls that. She oversees that. All our people, our accountants, CFO, and I'm the front of the house kind of guy. I oversee our operations, all that. And so she didn't like the front of the house. So I think that's a good team. But man, again, we have a great life together. When we go home, we have a 4:00 coffee time. I say this, it used to be called Monster. We used to drink Monster at 4 and go sit down in our house and have a talk about business and what we did right today and what we did wrong today. And but then I got a kidney stone a while back, and the guy said, "Do you drink a lot of energy drink?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'll never drink another one of them again." So
oh God.
Coffee. But man, she challenges, and what we do is, man, we really sit down and look at ourselves every day, and how can we improve? We're never satisfied. How do we get better? How do you get more profitable? What other concepts are out there that we need to pay attention to? Who do we need to watch? So it's good to have somebody on your side, because even when you're home or you're traveling in your car with your family, we're always kind of talking about that. So, yeah.
Awesome, man. So the quote, "Work on your business, not in your business," comes up a lot. And it sounds like when you had your Quiznos, you were working in your business quite a bit. And now you have Aspire2B, multiple franchises, multiple different brands, and getting ready to double. It sounds like you got approval to go from 13 to 23. Where was that mindset shift at, where you went from working in your business to on your business, and what has it brought you?
Okay, so me and you talked about this earlier, and you kind of said in the opening, this story that I have can go way, way deeper. It could, because my story, how I got in business, goes really deep. But how that shift happened, man, when we opened our first Buffalo Wild Wings, our fourth Buffalo Wild Wings, I worked every day. And at that time, we were pregnant with our third child. And if I wasn't at the stores, I was on the laptop watching cameras, just watching, and I would call the stores physically, like, "Hey, table by the bar, nobody's been waiting on that. Why is nobody waiting on that table?" I was a perfectionist, and I still am, man. I'm OCD. I just recently, and I knew I had a guy diagnosed with ADHD, which is totally great in this business because I can multiple task. I take that as positives. That's a whole other segment we go into that. There are no negatives in my life. But my wife came to me one day and she was kind of frustrated. And she said, "You have to stop sometimes. You're going to miss your whole kid's life. You are so in depth in your business. And I love it. Yes, that's where we want to be. But Chris, you have to be able to walk away." No. We didn't ever walk away. You told me we had notes back then. Now we got 4 notes. And then 6 months later, man, had a knot in my neck show up. Picked on my wife. I said, "Hey, I'm in a red light. I felt this knot in my neck." And she kind of picked, being in the nursing business, said, "You probably got cancer." And it stuck in my brain. And so after about 6 months of this earache and this, and I went to multiple doctors in my city. And everybody kept saying, "I'm fine, nothing's wrong." Everything came back perfect. And then finally, I went to a great ear, nose, and throat doctor, Dr. Jeremy Roebuck. He's a great friend of mine. And he looked at it and said, "All the reports say it's okay." And he said, "But it looks like it's still bothering you." I said, "Yeah, God's telling me something ain't right. And I don't know why." And he said, "Well, let's do a stick biopsy and let's figure it out. And let's just, I'll go and put this to rest for you." I said, "Deal." Stick biopsies, I don't know if you ever had that, really suck really bad. It hurt really bad, but man, he did it. 2 hours later, I was on my way home with my daughter in the car, just picked her up from school, and he called me, and I could tell he was crying, and pulled over. He said, "Where's your wife?" I said, "She's at home." And he said, "Go home and call me." I said, "It's cancer." And he said, "Go home." And I said, "It's cancer." And Well, long story short, yes, it was. And man, my life changed at that blink of the moment. But another thing in my life, I look at positives in life. Yeah, I went home, gave my daughter my wife. She was bawling. My kids were freaking out, not knowing why she's crying. I go and sit in front of my church and just cry, beat on the steering wheel. And then at that point, I was like, wait a minute, there's something special in this, and I got to be a testimony to a lot of people. And what God's plan is mine. So I went home and told my wife at that point, don't ever treat me any different. We'll take this on head on. So finding out about it, man, I had at that point, after I went to special hospital in Houston, MD Anderson, I was diagnosed with follicular lymphoma. That time I had it throughout my lymph node system, above and below the diaphragm, multiple bone marrows in there. Wasn't a good prognosis. And when they started giving me percentage, I remember telling the guys, wait. Don't say that. You're going to scare my wife. Don't say percentages. I don't want to hear that. So remember, my name was on the chalkboard, Kim, and that percentages tell me I was going to drop out. They're
Dropout list.
Yeah, that's right. They're telling me that I ain't going to make it in the next so many years. So my doctor, the last thing I heard him say, well, Chris, have a great mindset. We're going to put you on this retreatment. It's going to really suck, chemo, but it's not if, it's when. We get rid of it. It's not if, it's when it comes back, and normally it comes back in 2 years. Well, I'm happy to say that's 12 years ago.
Wow.
So, and I go back every year. I'll never be one of those ones that they say, okay, you don't have to come back. Go back every year for a checkup because they kind of monitor it. And it's one of those mindsets. But then I go back and you say, what was the turning point? That was the turning point to think, wait a minute, if something happened to me, who is going to take over these financial notes from my wife and my kids? My wife was working in the business, but she's not built to be out front in that side. So at that point, I knew I needed to start hiring people to help me and find really good people that if something was to, and groom somebody and multiple people to take my spot if I ever needed to take more time off or what, because I still worked every day, man, going through chemo. We opened a store in Port Arthur, Buffalo Wild Wings. It was my fourth one, I can't remember exactly, but I was going through chemo, and I was during the opening training, and the training team, corporate sends was like, dude, you got a chemo bag on and you're bald headed. You don't need to really be in here. I'm like, man, I'm here. And I was there every day, and I would go take naps in my truck. And they still tell stories about that at our convention. But so that was my mindset. God told me right then, and my wife told me first. I didn't listen. Then God told me, and I said, okay, I better listen to this. So now that's how I do. I still love working in stores. I get in there, but I make sure there's always people around me to take over if I needed it to be taken over.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you don't like being on dropout lists because there's 2 points in your life where you've been on that list and you said, to hell with this, I'm going to beat it. But the other one is you got that new lease on life, right? Oh. And one of the things I noticed when I met you, Chris, is that you have this ability to build teams and connect with people. And it's very hard to do whenever your nose is to the grindstone and you are just working every day. Has that event, and now you realizing you need people, you need to hire people, has that helped you out in your business? And if so, how?
Oh yeah, I'm going to start it out this way. You use the word grind, right? We all grind. Everybody in this business grinds until you finally figure out that the most important thing that I can say too is and it's helped in mine. So I don't know if it'll work in all, but I think it could. Stop grinding so much and start building machines. And the machines you build are the people that are going to help you. And so now you don't have to use the word grind, because grinding to me is just grinding, just, metal on metal, sparks flying. I mean, but when you take your time and build machines, and don't ask them to grind either, ask them at the next level to build machines. And that can be my directors, that can be my COOs, my CFOs that work for me. Then that can be the regional manager. We call them business coaches, our director of operations. Stop grinding, because they'll be like, man, I'm just, run around there sweating all day. Dude, that's not what you want to do, because it's hard work when you do that and you're not really accomplishing anything. You're just getting wore out. So when you do that, I think that's, stop grinding as much As you see, my name's called Aspire2B, man. So when you talk about me building up teams and what, that's when I changed my name. Our company used to be RC Group, and there's two. The RC stands for something I don't even want to. We don't even use that anymore. But when I changed my name of my company 3 years ago, was part of this whole transformation that I had to that. Now it's my job, it's my duty to aspire more others to be better today than they were yesterday. And that's what I did to myself. That was my motto. Every day I want one more dollar in my bank account than I had yesterday. And that's why I tell my teams also, okay, sales, how do you rate sales? Well, okay, we did, $4 million yesterday or last year. So that means we did, you did 50,000 a week. Now I want $50,100, then $50,200. We don't have to have huge jumps. You just don't want to ever go backwards. And a lot of people think that they got to make this huge catapult. You probably see that people in your business too, that they got to go buy all this real estate right at first. Just take one day at a time, one step. As long as you're moving forward and you're not stagnant, you're not staying in one place, it's good. So I aspire my team that way, man. I challenge them all and say, hey, look, I've done really well in life. I've worked my butt off, and now it's and I'm happy. I'm comfortable. People, what's next for you? What's next? It's like now it's next to take these other people and bring them up to with me. I want to help so many people. I have so many guys that work for me now that don't have college educations, but that stop to realize that they don't have to grind as hard, that they just build machines. And one other thing is put people, like the people that sit around my table, man, our conference room in here are way smarter than me. And I tell them that. I was like, hey, I want to hire smarter than me. Don't be afraid to bring people on your team that's better than you in some aspect. Because that's really going to push you up. And, I tell our groups when we go sit down with banks and we're pushing a new deal, and I said, let me do all the talking, the chatty catty stuff. And they ask me how we're going to finance it. I'm going to look at you, CFO, and you better be ready.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. And how are you going to operate all these Buffaloes and these Mellows and this and this? And now you want to buy this and move and build them in Houston. I look at our COO. I'm like, you ready? It's your turn to go on stage. So, and that's when they shine. So, you hire smart people and bring people on your team, partners. If you're looking for a business partner, bring somebody that's way smarter than you in a different avenue that you lack in. I lack in a lot of stuff, man. I lack in I can look at the P&L really quickly and tell you stuff, but I lack in the finance side of it, right? And that's where my wife is really focused in on and honed in on. And we have really smart people that work for us that are really good at that. So I just kind of give them an idea of like, hey, this is where I expect us to be. Where are we going to be at on this? And they go to work. So, yeah.
That's awesome, man. And I tell my team we're building a mountain out of layers of paint. Just add another layer every single day. And it's a hard concept to grasp because you don't feel like you're moving forward. But when you actually take a second and look backwards, you're like, holy crap, dude, we've done X amount of stuff and it feels like we're moving slow. Yeah. And I really do think like I'm not the kind of guy who's just going to sit there and like speed. I'm a little bit more calibrated than that. I like to analyze things and I'll make a decision quickly, but I don't want us to outpace our growth what am I trying to say? I don't want to outpace responsible growth. That makes sense.
I look at it this way. So and my team loves this because I'm very analytical, right? And this probably comes from, not a big college education where it's easier for me to explain myself. So I tell them all like this. I look at it like, you ever built a something that your daughter, a dollhouse that you're building, and you get it, you see the box. You say, I can build this really easy, but you start doing the instructions, 10 pages. Well, you kind of start hurrying and you kind of like, then you just want to hurry and finish. And you don't follow the instructions. Well, guess what? You didn't really pay attention. That board was supposed to be the other way, but you put it this way because you really didn't dig that deep. Well, guess what? You get to the finish and now it's leaning. And now it's like, crap, now I got to take the whole thing apart and fix that one board to make it right. If you're a perfectionist, which I am, you got to now take, and now you got to spend 7 hours of backing back up to take this whole play. Now she's upset at you, can't play in her playhouse. Your wife's mad at you because now she's upset. So I said, just take the time and let's be patient and do it right. Do it right, do it light, do it wrong, do it long, So,
I love that. I love it. Well, Chris, I want to start kind of getting into the details of franchises with you. And just like that, what you just said about the instructions, the way I see it, and tell me if I got it wrong, like for franchises, you are buying into a business plan that's been proven. And the amount of time that it would take you to build that same business, you're just basically expediting your level of success or your speed to success, but you're going to pay somebody to do it. I've never had a franchise. I don't know if any of our listeners had, but I really am interested in this concept. You've obviously been successful doing it. You've got all for those who can't see, you've got pictures of all of your stores right behind you in your background. When you first got started, or I guess now, what are you looking for in a franchise when you decide that when you agree that you're going to do it?
Well, so I get that, people ask about the franchise. I get talked all the time when I go in, some local friends of mine that might own a local business and, could be a bar or a restaurant, and they kind of pick on me and, say, well, you still pay royalty fees. And so that's a big thing that franchises charge. They're going to charge you a royalty fee. Make sure you really dig into that, and because some get outrageous, and basically they take money off the top line, right? They're not taking off what you profit. They tuck it off the top line. Yeah. So, and most are, between, 4, 5, most all mine are in the 5% range. Some go at 7, 8, 9. So you better be careful in that. So find the details of that franchise agreement and what you're going to pay in royalty fees. But what you get with that royalty fees are stuff that, you're not good at too. They're going to do a lot of marketing. They're going to do a lot of, you just think, let's use Buffalo's, for example. They come out every 6 months with this brand new menu. If you own your own concept, you got to keep reprinting your menu. And they hire all these people to design, what does the customer look at first? What's the most profitable item? I mean, every restaurant you go to, don't think that there's a lot of money behind what you're looking at as a consumer. And, hey, these are really good profitable items. We want them to see this first. So they do that. And, in any concept you get, they're going to do your product buy for you too. I mean, Buffalo Wild Wings, look how much Coke we sell. Now it's Pepsi, but Arby's, look how much Coke we sell. I mean, they're negotiating that Coke contract that you as a mom and pop can never go buy that Coke product that cheap. And so it's negotiation power. So I feel like you're getting a lot of that back on the 5%, because if you want to start your own concept, you'd have to do all that research, change your menu development. They have all these chefs that work on them. You see Arby's, they come out with all this new food all the time. And it's great food, awesome food with Arby's ever since they've changed. So I think you got to pay attention to that, what that royalty is. But, it's tricky though. So like Buffalo Wild Wings, and let's use that for example. When I got in Buffalo Wild Wings years back, it was so small. It wasn't everywhere. And they were still, so you could get in it pretty easily. I called, and the first time I called, before I even had my Quiznos, they were going to sell it to me, but I didn't have the money to do that or the experience. But they didn't care. They just wanted me to buy it because they want to grow. You can't get into Buffalo Wild Wings right now. It's such a closed market because they're everywhere, and they're the franchisees have kind of took over the territories, and you kind of grab a market and hold on to it and build out there. But so what you got to do is look at concepts that are growing. But you got to be it is a chance, because you want to find something that you don't just buy one. Right? Quiznos, when I bought Quiznos and a lot of small concepts, if you really want to be in the franchise business and you get in it and you buy one, you got to be careful, because some of it's just like buying a job. If I would have kept those 2 Quiznos, it's just buying a job. I worked every day, make $60,000, $70,000 out of each store, paying myself, and made a little profit extra on that. So it's like buying jobs. But you want to get one and be able to buy a territory or get a market. Because you want to be big, you want to buy 5, 6, 7 of these things. That's how they make money. People look at McDonald's every day. They, man, look how busy they are. I mean, you get down to the bottom line, the real estate they purchase and all they spend, they're doing well, but they're not, people aren't, they might do $2 million, $3 million in sales. That's not what they're making in profit. Normally in the restaurant business, we're lucky if we get 15% to the bottom line. If you're really good, you get 20. And I feel like, we're really good at what we do. So we push that number. But again, you got an Arby's that does 1.5 million a year. You think about it, if you're doing 15%, do the math, you're not retiring off that, but you got to have multiples to keep growing and keep that money going. So franchises is great. If you want to get in the restaurant part, there's all kind of different franchising. I love it because I don't have to do a lot of legwork. I'm good at the running the place and picking the right operation. And normally when you buy them, they're going to give you great training. They're going to give you a blue book to say, hey, run it like this. Let us help you pick a grade A location. Don't go pick some location that they're not going to suggest. and and run it like they say, and you should be successful. But there's a lot out there too that aren't proven yet, that have came and gone, and you watch them because they could be fad, like it's a fad going on right now. This is, you see a lot of that in these pizza concepts. I mean, they were the burger concept, man. You had Five Guys rolling out, you had Smash Burger, had all these concepts rolling out. Now you don't see them rolling out as much because there was so much market share. Only so many people want to eat burgers a day. Yeah. So when you got 5 different burger concepts just in a street area, that just waters down the thing. So you kind of want to find something that you have a niche at, that there's a niche, and the competition's not all there. There's different ones that you kind of see pop up, and they blow up, and then you see 90% of them close. So just kind of do your research. I'll tell you a story too. When I opened my first Quiznos, when I decided to get in Quizno before I bought it, I went to one in a different city, and they probably thought I was going to rob them one day, me and my wife, because we got a sandwich and we sat there for 2 hours and just watched and saw how the people interacted. How's the guest interact with them? And same thing we did Buffalo, same thing we did Mellow. We did that with Rusty. We did it with Arby's. When we bought into Arby's 3 years ago, we went and set it a new Arby's, the new Arby's, and kind of said, well, because Arby's was a brand that, was going downhill, but they were bought out by Inspire Brands, completely flipped their model. And so we went and tried it out because I was like, man, this food is really good. This isn't like I ate when I was in high school. This is a different model. So you kind of got to test it out, man. But you got to find something you like too, what you're passionate about. I mean, obviously, y'all love real estate. You're doing what you're doing. You love what you do. I love this business because I love people. And so find something too that you enjoy to do and roll with it. But I'm all behind franchising. Look it, study it, understand it, and understand that they're going to take a portion of your money. And you got to accept that and be happy with that and realize that it's not your restaurant. It's not your name. You're just using that name. You run the business, but still it's their name and you have to follow their plan. You can't go off and say, hey, I have managers going, hey, can we do this? And like, no, that's not a franchise. We can't do that. Our franchise would pull our agreement if we did that. So you got to understand that.
Yeah. So whenever you go and you buy your franchise, as you said, you want to buy a territory and you want to, get to a lot of them. You have multiple different brands. And is your regions Texas, Louisiana, or are you all over the place?
Texas, Louisiana, where I'm at, yeah.
Okay, so you obviously bought those territories, but why not stick with one? What is the diversity that you have? How did you choose to set it up in such a way?
Well, so the diversity of us is we were just wanting to grow it. Buffalo Wild Wings, I was in a territory that was kind of collapsed in. I was in a smaller area, so then I chose to do Arby's to grow out more. And I think they're all the same thing. In the restaurant business, it's just one's cooking roast beef and one's cooking chicken wings and one's cooking a pizza and tacos. So I think that in our business, I really realized like, wait a minute, for me to get bigger and grow, I need a multi-brand, and that's where you see a lot of big companies and big franchisees are in multiple brands. The company that owns us, and you can look them up, and your listeners too, it's called Inspire Brands. Inspire Brands owns Buffalo Wild Wings. They own Arby's. They own Sonic now. They own Dunkin' Donuts. They own Jimmy John's, Rusty Taco, and they own multiple, or they will own more. They're the second largest restaurant company in the world. They just started forming. They bought. They used to be in a different kind of a business a little bit. They would buy concepts, sell them, tweak them, and sell them. They bought Arby's, kept it, and they bought Buffalo's and put them under the same Inspire Brands. And when you go to their corporate office, there's multiple floors. And how I kind of mimic, like I said, I look at myself and challenge myself to be like them, because you go on the top floor, the 14th floor of their corporate office is the Inspire Brands headquarters, CEO, CFO, COO. And then the next floor is Buffalo Wild Wings. And next floor is Arby's. Next floor is Dunkin'. Their floors, you open the elevator, it's, let's say Buffalo's, it's all Buffalo's, art stuff everywhere. Coke machine says Buffalo's. But the floor is identical. The CEO's office is right below the CEO of Arby's, the CEO, president of that brand. And they're all mimicked, right? It's the conference rooms, the same location, but all Dunkin'. And I thought, man, wait a minute, I can do that. it's just different brands, but we run it different. And then I got some great, man, also with that too, I got to look at too, when you start getting bigger, you're going to have some great people working for you. And if you're not growing or you're not offering them opportunities to move up, they're going to go somewhere else. They're going to go to another concept. So that's how we kind of do it. We just figured out we'd spread out and do multiple concepts. And we're still looking. What's next? I mean, Starbucks called me out of the blue, just called me and said, I thought I was getting catfished when they, I kept getting an email from some Starbucks executive, and I kept delete. I ain't getting catfished because I don't know anything about IT. So my guys don't ever open emails that, you don't know. I'm like, okay. So, but after about the third one, I showed our CEO, I said, man, this lady keeps emailing me, man. He looked her up. He said, holy crap, dude. I think he said a bad word at that time. That's somebody that's true. So I finally emailed her back, and I think I got the idea. Is like, yeah, I'm surprised you never called me back. I'm like, so in our negotiation with her, I was like, how did you find me? So we found you on social media, LinkedIn. I saw your name, Aspire2B. So we Googled you, saw what your culture's like, saw how you're running your business, how you're growing. We read your story, and we'd love you to be a partner with us and open some of these cafe stores. My first one's opening in about a month. So pumped up about that, because that's just something more. That's another thing I can tie into that, learn how they do it, how they train. You walk in there, they're really good at talking to people. Their bistros, hey, how are you doing? Welcome, Mr. Olexa. Yeah, so we want to tap into that, see how they're doing it. So, yeah,
and
always mind open.
Is Starbucks the first brand that's not under the Inspire brand? And they're independent, right? They're only Starbucks, and that's it.
That's it.
Okay. I didn't even know that Starbucks, I didn't even know that it was franchises. I thought it was privately owned.
Yeah, they don't franchise. So what they call you're a business partner kind of with them, you do the same. It's same model, same thing. They just put a little bit more control over you, which is fine. But it's the same thing. You pay a royalty for it. They're just not the way that you can go say, hey, I want to build one over here. They kind of dictate, and they'll call you and say, so I'm kind of in that market now, Dallas, Houston to New Orleans. So the next one, if they want to put a cafe in somewhere, let's say a casino, a casino wants to put a Starbucks in, and Starbucks won't let them run it. Like you see these Starbucks in these hotels, sometimes they won't let them, they'll bring a business partner in, and that's who I am now, graded for that. So if they want to put one somewhere else, and the casino wants one in there, but they don't want to run it, they'll bring somebody in like you. So, but it's not a franchise. They call you a little different.
So my biggest question, this is something, because I look at franchises and I think any investment that I make, because I'm active duty in the military, I need it to be either passive or I need to be able to pass it off. Right. Mm-hmm. And are any of these franchises that you've done, do you have to be there from day one to be able to run it? I'm guessing, because it sounds like when you open up a store, you are in there, you're coaching, you are teaching. Or how would you make a franchise a passive investment?
So, yeah, I think you're going to have to really look at that and be careful with that. It's still a passive investment when you look at it for us. I mean, because I'm not in them every day. I mean, we have stores 4 hours this way, 4 hours this way. And I like trying to be in the stores once every 2 weeks at least. And when I go in the stores, mainly it's like shaking hands and kissing babies. If you kind of watch my LinkedIn page or watch our Facebook page, I'm really celebrating the staff, man. I go back in and go straight to the kitchen. Those guys are the heart of the house, and they call it that for a reason. Those guys work their tail off, and I go high five and handshake and give them hugs. When I go in the store, actually, I'm not physically sitting down over P&Ls. I'm not really going in there working anymore. When I'm going in there, it's just really kind of, being their cheerleader, letting them know how I appreciate them, how hard they work. That's why, we bought somebody asked me, like, one of our franchisees that's way bigger than me said, hey, I noticed you bought a helicopter. And he's like, is that expensive? Yeah, it's pretty expensive. Well, how do you return on investment? I said, it's huge for me, man. I said, because I'm in my stores on a day that I can get there very quickly and get home and still pick my kids up at carpool, but I get to get my staff. I'm humble enough to say, that I'm not trying to showboat or anything, but I'm in my stores and shaking hands. They love it. And one benefit of that is I can hit multiple stores and get in and out. But I'm not working in every day, man. I'm not actually doing that. Now, when you first start off, dude, you got to be in there because you want to know the business in and out. You want to know when you're looking at the cameras. My office is right next to this room here, and people laugh, but I got big screens set up all in there, and there's cameras in every one of our stores. Some almost cameras like what you'd see in Vegas at a casino. We can dial in and see it because, man, I am so, like I said, OCD, man, that I want our guests waiting on. So you can manage stuff from afar, but before you do that, you better understand your business. You got to understand what's happening on a day-to-day basis and what it really takes. And then you need to trust somebody and pay somebody that's going to run it every day. You know, I have some great leaders, great GMs in my store that I treat them very well, but I believe in them that they're running it like I would run it. So when you do that passive part, just be comfortable enough that you know the business and you can step away and you have somebody in your trust, but still micromanage it like crazy and kind of watch it from afar and be in there. Most franchises are going to ask you too, are you going to be a absentee owner or in a regular, you're going to work every day at it. Most of your big concepts, they're going to ask you that you're the owner to work there every day. They're not going to ask you to do that. They're just going to know how your involvement is going to be at it. They don't want you to buy it and move to Hawaii, and enjoy it. And a lot of people, you'll see concepts do that. You'll see big franchisees that they'll get to the point that they're older and retired and they'll kind of check out. And then they kind of get selfish a little bit because they have a big yacht payment to pay, and they'll kind of cut back on payments a little bit. And then their concept starts, going downhill, and because they left it. So make sure you take good to people that are going to take care of you.
What's the relationship between you and corporate? Is it they very supportive of anything that you need, or what is the communication like? Like, kind of paint the picture for us.
Man, I have an awesome relationship with Aspire Brands. I'm on a bunch of committees now, still with them, and I was on one of the biggest committees. It's called the FAC Board, Franchise Advisory Council. I just got off recently. So no, I have a great relationship. On my cell phone, personal cell, I got, Paul Brown. If anybody's in the restaurant business, he is the co-founder and the CEO of Inspire Brands, one of the smartest guys in the business. And I have his personal cell phone. I have the president of Buffalo Wild Wings cell phone number, the COO cell phone number. I mean, you could get as deep as you want to get with them, right? They want to support you, man.
Yeah.
They want to hear from you, and they want to see your success. It's the ones that never call is the ones they're worried about. They don't want to talk to those guys because they're probably running a bad operation. But you have a good relationship with them because they're there to support you, man. You're paying that's who keeps them. You're what's keeping them paid. Right? Yeah. You're the ones that keep them growing, and they want to support you. And they're going to have different levels of support. They're going to have operations support. Most all these franchises are going to have business coaches that they're going to send to your company. They're going to come unannounced sometimes. They call them QSCs. It's a quality check. Make sure that hot food's hot, cold drinks are cold, the doors are clean, bathrooms are clean. They come in and announce. They send secret shoppers in all the time to kind of find out about you. You want that support. That's what you're paying for, that 5%,
Accountability, right?
Yep.
Have you ever bought an existing store, like bought out another franchisee?
I want to. It's just the markets that I'm in. Everybody's kind of greedy, like I am. I would love. That's acquisitions. My bankers come in all the time and ask me, like, "Hey, when are you going to acquire a store? When are you going to acquire?" I'm like, some are for sale. I've made offers. Some I've been offered to, my stores. I've had people approach me to offer me, and when I first got an offer on mine, it was like, told the accountant, I said, "Is that real? Is that the real number they're offering me?" Like, yeah. I'm like, "Holy smokes, dude! You kidding me? A guy that had his name on the wall, and I'll never work again." That is awesome. But you know what? I don't want to do that to my employees, and I'll never do that to my kids to think that I got lucky. That's like winning the lottery. No, we're going to work hard. We're going to keep grinding and keep building machines and show my kids that they're going to come work here too and learn from the business. But no, that's a good way. But you better be careful if they got it for sale and it's worth buying, it's expensive. If they want to sell it and they can't give you a good reason, it's probably not doing well. So if you got options.
So one example that I could think of is just because I know, and I don't know if you want to talk about this or not, but in Lake Charles, your Buffalo Wild Wings that you built is like 100 yards from the previous Buffalo Wild Wings. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the location right there next to the casino entrances and stuff, all the same. Why would you do that? Why would you build a whole brand new store?
Okay, so that store is my second location. That was on an end cap in a shopping center. When I built that store, you're from Lake Charles. You've been in Lake Charles.
Yes.
Right. So none of those casinos were back there. So my rent was really, really cheap at the time, and nothing was back there. All that development that's happened back, nothing was there. So when I leased that center, I did a 10-year lease with a 5-year option, and my rent was cheap. Well, guess what? My options are running out. And the landlord now realizes, like, wait a minute, we're in all these 2 huge casinos, all this growth. So my rent was going to go from here to almost double if I stayed. And that store, when I built that, was my second Buffalo's I built. And back then, if you did a certain amount of Buffalo's in sales, that was great. That's what you were wanting to do. That store opened up at that number already. And then now it's doubled. And it's one of the Buffalo's Lake Charles is one of the top 10 in the nation in sales.
Really?
How much volume that thing does. So, again, I'm renting your investment, right? I'm renting and leasing space. I'm making the landlord super rich. And it's like paying rent in an apartment. I'm like, wait a minute, this store cash flows so much. And my rent, the landlord wants to double my rent. And the store is beat up, man. I'm going to have to go and totally gut it, be closed for 5 months, tear it all out, gut it. And that wasn't an option. So I looked across the street, and I've been looking at that piece of dirt forever, ever since I built there. And I finally had the cash flow to do it. So we bought the 3 acres. I own it. It's mine. Nice. I put our big, beautiful Buffalo Wild Wings right there, and a super awesome Arby's right next door to it. So it is a land purchase, so we own it. And, there's a lot of pros with that too, right? You get to write off a lot of more stuff with that, but I own it. And if you do the analysis, it's one of the things too, when you talk about renting and smaller restaurants, smaller businesses, you have to lease space. But when you get into business, and I knew this Buffalo's was doing this sales, and I knew it was going to even do this better over here, because now it has a huge patio, just different parking, different takeout model. And so we knew we were going to get a 20% increase. Knew it right off. And so it's easier to buy because now like, wait a minute. So if you do my mortgage note on it, my construction cost of it, I'm cheaper all in than I would have been if I would have rebuilt that store, gutted it, and paid my landlord all that money. So you got to look at that.
You are in the real estate business.
Yeah, we own about 20% of our locations now. It's not something we look for because it is very pricey, man. It's a lot of cash flow that takes in that, a lot of debt you take with that. You just got a good relationship, good location. But then, as you probably know too, in the commercial side, with Chick-fil-A, Starbucks, Walgreens, CVS, they're paying crazy banks. They buy all the good stuff, and the other stuff's kind of left over, and it's still super priced. You just got to do your price and look at what your return on investment's going to be.
How do you analyze a market and decide which store best fits the customer base within this market?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. It's funny. So I call myself, and again, I laugh at myself a lot of stuff. Again, I call myself a bottom feeder. My Buffalo Wild Wings, I have one in Lake Charles and one in Beaumont. We have multiple cities, but most of all of our cities are 100,000 population or less. Everybody was building in Houston's and Dallas's and big cities. They're paying crazy amounts of rent. Everything's expensive. There's no parking. Well, I was going to these centers that or cities at first, nobody wanted to be in. And it's funny that I still go sit around these conference rooms and tables, and it's like my Buffalo's in Beaumont. Same thing, top 10 in the nation. They look at me like, Beaumont, Texas, and Lake Charles, where are these places even at? How are you keeping up with downtown New York, Los Angeles? How are you keeping up with these huge markets? And I said, yeah, it's just, you got to stop overlooking these smaller markets. Because, I'm from Beaumont, Texas, man. For a while back, when you had a market of when we went out to somewhere nice to eat, it was Carrabba's. That was fine.
Yeah, baby.
So you kind of look at bringing something to these markets that people really want, man, because these young people, they see it on the big cities and like, well, we don't ever get stuff like that. And when you bring it to them, they'll support you. And so you kind of look at that. So that's how we look at in the market. And you do definitely a study, going to get some comparisons of, there's a new concept we're doing right now called Buffalo Wild Wings Go. And that's something we're going to be building out too. And it's a wing stop is what it is. It's a wing stop, but a Buffalo Wild Wings. We're not doing bar. It's just takeout, maybe 10, 20 seats in the place. But we go back and look at the markets and you can get numbers and see what's this wing stop do? Okay. Can we put a Buffalo Wild Wings Go here? Same thing with Arby's. What's Whataburger, Sonic, Wendy's, Taco Bell, McDonald's, Burger King? And you know they're going to be, Chick-fil-A is going to be up here. So you kind of look like, yeah, they're really well. If I put Arby's there, I can capture some of that. So you kind of study the markets where you're going in.
That makes sense because it's, I grew up in Lake Charles. So me and you grew up an hour from each other. Yeah. And I remember when an Outback or a Chili's came to town, the whole town was excited. We finally have a place to eat. You know what I mean? So you're giving 100,000 people or 200,000 people something they've never had versus going into New York City. You're competing with the world's finest dining. You compete. There's just so much competition, and the markets to me might be saturated. And I think that's great. You're filling a need in a market that wants it and doesn't have it. Because now when Buffalo Wild Wings goes in somewhere, even me out in San Diego, there was not a Buffalo Wild Wings in San Diego. We had to drive an hour and a half to get it, and it was in our path to a training site. And I tell you what. Every time we went to go do the training up in Northern California, we stopped by that Buffalo Wild Wings. So love chicken wings. So that's good. That's good info because I could see people gravitating to the larger cities, just assuming more population, more customers. But more populations, more competition, which probably means less customers. And I know those old boys in Lake Charles love some chicken wings too. They're crushing them.
They do.
That's great. Well, cool. So what I want to do now, Chris, is I'll move into the three questions I ask every guest that comes on the show. And the first question that I have for you, and I can't wait to hear your answer, to be honest, is what is your definition of success?
It's funny that I do this thing a while back. I started getting calls a lot that people wanted to just go have coffee with me and just drink coffee. And I've met some great people by doing that, some successful people that I kept one time a big attorney came to me and I looked him up. He just messaged me on Facebook, never met the guy. Super, he's done a great job for himself, but he's a young guy. And he called me and said, or messaged me and said, you know, coffee. And I said, yeah, I'd love to do coffee. And I'm thinking, well, I hope this guy's not wanting to sue me or something. Why do you want to have coffee? But then we sat and had coffee. And after, 30 minutes of talking, I just kind of figured out that he just wants to talk. He wants to know what makes my brain tick. And how did I get where I got? He read something about my story. We've won some really big awards for a franchisee in this business, multi-unit franchisee year of the year award. So, that's success stories, right? That's we did that. That's awesome. It's a big thing on there. That's success. But people are noticing that. And so now other people are reaching out, and this attorney just want to pick my brain, and he want to know how we're doing it socially, and how do you get your name out there so much, and who does your social, and just how do you hire people? What do you look at hiring people? What's your judge of character on people? That's the things you're looking for. After about 4 times we had coffee, he told me, so, well, look, I just want to let you know I'm leaving my big firm. I'm part of one of the most successful firms in this area, and he said, but I'm going out branching on my own. I'm gonna follow your plan. And I thought, man, that is awesome. And I watch him on social every day. He's posting, he is killing it. And it's like, man, this is so neat to me, because now I comment all the time. And when I say stuff to him, he'll reply back and says, dude, that's an honor to hear that from you. And I am so humble. Man, I wear a t-shirt to work every day. I wear tennis shoes. I'm not a tie and coat tie person. I'm not a success person. I'm very humble. I don't drive a sports car. I remember one of our guys has a fine Corvette. He pulled up every day. I was like, that's your car? I'm like, no, I don't have that. That's his. My success story is sitting down with people that just want to better themselves, and how can I help you? and I will help you in any way possible. One of my managers sat down with me, and he got a promotion, and he said, I just want to have coffee with you. And I said, okay, same thing. He said, I just want to know what do you see the company, how successful, where do you want to get? I said, I don't have a roadmap to that. And I don't have a store number. Like if you're asking, we want to open 100 stores. I don't have that. So what makes me awesome to feel is that I see how you've grown up with our company. You came to our company and how you've taken care of your family. That's success to me, man. Is when I see these guys buying nice houses, nice cars, and thanking me and saying, I couldn't have done that without your company. And knowing that I have a story to share, a kid that had a name on a chalkboard or dry erase board, a guy that said they had cancer, and all the trials and tribulations that come in my life is share. Finances isn't a success to me anymore. Money is not. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to ever not have money because I still got to feed my kids. But it's not amount of money in my checking account is what I'm grading my success about. I'm grading around how big this conference table gets, because the bigger it gets, the more people are going to sit around it. That's going to be life-changing salaries, opportunities they're going to make. When I hashtag growth brings opportunity, that is the coolest thing ever to me, because it does. This company growing is bringing so much opportunity to everybody. So I think if you have a vision in life that like really what you want to get down to, there's nothing better than being able to help somebody more than really helping yourself when you get to that point. So work your butt off, build machines in your life that can help you achieve that, to when you can go out and feel comfortable enough and share your story and help others in your business. Open yourself up and not be afraid that somebody's going to steal your idea and be better than you. They're going to steal your idea and they're going to be better than what they did, and they're going to give you credit for it.
Yeah, it's almost like you don't realize the impact that you have on other people. And I could tell, like, whenever I asked you to be a podcast guest, your first question was like, do you think we'd be a good guest? I'm like, yes, dude, there's a lot of people who want to hear what you have to say. And it's kind of weird when you realize that. I'm starting to hear that or to see that now, because I did everything whenever I started out in real estate, and I have a couple other businesses in the sporting world, but I kept everything quiet. And it was, I'm in the military. I always wanted the military to know that they were my priority. So I didn't want them to know that there was any potential of distractions out there. But once I finally said, you know what, the hell with it, I'm gonna start putting my name out there, and started showing people what we're doing, people come out of the woodwork. It's like, hey man, how are you doing this? And they want to have coffee with you. They want to meet you. And it's, you have to kind of, for me, I have to balance my time and balance how I can help somebody. And the quickest way that I'll do that is if I can identify that they're willing to help themselves, then I will help them as much as I can. But the people who are just kind of looky-loos and tire kickers and just want to kind of rob you of your time and be done with it, I have to cut some of it out, right? Because they come from everywhere. Yeah. But man, that was awesome to hear a guy who rolls around in a helicopter say, do you think I'd be a good guest for your investing podcast? It's shit, man. Like, it's almost like you're not even aware that people are like want to hear your words. So that's great, man. So Chris, what has been your biggest mistake in investing?
Biggest mistake is, I would say too, is it kind of goes back to of not at first, and when I got in business, of putting people around you that's smarter than you. I would say that because, until about halfway growth to this company, I always just hired people off of the grinders, and not really bringing, they're just another, hard worker, which was awesome, but they weren't smarter than me and helping and looking at the big picture. And I've invested a lot of money in training in people that, that didn't take that. So, and go with that, because everybody's afraid of hiring somebody better than them, because they're going to take their job or make them look bad, or, kind of steal their thunder a little bit. I'm the opposite, now. And I think that's the thing. I promote these guys like to start their own LinkedIn pages, and because they're like, well, I don't want have LinkedIn because somebody's going to offer them jobs. I get stuff on LinkedIn all the time. Like, hey, are you interested in, overseeing our company? Or you want to take in our brand? And I'm like, no, I'm doing my thing. And so I was always afraid of that. I would lose great people if if I didn't let them go out and do their thing. So yeah, I think, there wasn't a lot of big mistakes, and I'm going to go back and say this too. Mistakes in my business are not like I did a podcast the other day and the guy really stumped me because he asked me to talk about failures. And like, well, how do I judge failures? And failures and mistakes are almost the same way. I feel like I said, I don't use that word first. I don't use the F word. So there's 3 F words we do not use, and that's the original F word. Free when you're in the restaurant business. Nothing's free. People still ask me, hey, do you get to go eat free when you go to eat all your restaurants? And ask my kids all that. Like, no, somebody bought it, and the checkbook wrote the food when it got there. And failures. And I live life like as mistakes and failures is like playing golf. I like to play golf when I have time, but I'm not really good at it. I call myself a bogey or double bogey golfer. But when you all go play golf, right, you make a mistake and you shank one. And that's why in our world, we call it mulligans, right?
Yeah.
That's a mulligan. So, I'm going to walk over and pick my ball up. And the whole way I'm picking up, thinking back, I'm like, what mistake or what did I do wrong? And I'm not quitting. I'm not going to give up on it, go get in my car and never play golf again. Then I put it down and hit it again and forget about it. It's okay, hit again, and I'm going to take that stroke off. It's a mulligan, and I'm going to have fun doing this. So kind of I look at it like that. But, I don't make mistakes. If I do make one, you definitely learn from it really quickly and put it behind you. But the biggest ones I made was not, trying to do it all myself, and I couldn't. And there's no way. And God showed me that. My wife showed me that. It's putting really good, smart people, dedicated people, and take good care of them.
That's great. I love that answer because I used to ask, what was your biggest failure? And then I realized like my dad had taught me at a young age, the difference between a mistake and a failure is a failure is something you refuse to learn from. Mm-hmm. And that to me was a very good, it made it where making a mistake was expected, but not accepted. Right. And I really love that concept because it kind of pushes you. All right. I might make a mistake, but I'm not going to fail. Yeah. Right. I'm going to earn or I'm going to learn. Right. That's just kind of the two things that I look at. And so great. I appreciate that. All right. So the last question that I ask everybody on the show is what really bruises your bananas about the world of investing? And what I mean by that is what's some concepts out there that you've heard or some methods or that you disagree with and you want to set the record straight?
I guess, the same thing is, everybody says, that if you work harder, you've heard all this stuff that people say in life, you got to work harder, don't work harder, work smarter. That's one that really sticks with me. And, the one other that sticks with me is people, we said it earlier, is that the society, what bruises my bananas is when people think that they're so closed up that they don't want to open up and share. Because when I got in this business, man, people didn't share stuff with me. They were so worried that I was, or somebody was going to steal from them. And you might see that in your business too, that, you got investors are out there and it's all trying to, do their thing and they don't want to share that with you. And I feel like, one of the things that really upset me in the past is, and it still kind of does, that, when I got into Arby's, I didn't know Arby's as much as I did Buffalo's. And I didn't understand some of the quick service as quick as we need to pick it up. But there was no franchisee out there sharing stuff with me. I would ask, email corporate and say, hey, can they share stuff with me? And a lot of them don't want to. I'm like, man, that's what's wrong with the world today, man. We should all be lifting each other's up. So I get mad, super mad that people do not want to, help each other in our business. The better we all do it. The hospitality businesses, if you notice, is terrible right now. Ever since COVID, it's just, the mindset of people, the hospitality business has gone to crap. Even when you go to the bank, they're not as nice as they used to be. Nobody's nice like they used to be. Because I guess they've realized you see all these restaurants, and you might have this in California, some of their dining rooms are drive-throughs, only drive-throughs open. They're not open in their dining.
Yep.
And it just the mindset of that is just terrible. of not wanting to, open up for people and things. But, again, to go back to your question was, I get upset that people don't share and open up with us. And that's why, we've been approached by doing our own podcast one day, of sharing info for, young entrepreneurs. It could be from any aspect of life, of restaurants mainly, but that we'll open up everything, man. Come to my office and I'll make my COO sit down with you for a day and spend time with you. A good friend of mine just bought a restaurant here. He's never bought a restaurant, but he bought an old barbecue stand. And, immediately I Facebook's message, hey, man, I'm super proud of you. Glad you made that step. Us as a company are open up to you, anything you ever need. We will send our IT department there to help you. I'll send anybody there. I'll come there and work with you to help you. And he just sent a message back and just was like jaw dropped that we're offering, because he's right next to down the street for one of my concepts. I'm like, dude, not everybody's going to eat barbecue every day. So I hope they'll come get a roast beef sandwich one day.
Yeah.
So where people don't share info and get out there and think we're all one family and just help one another, man.
I'll take you up on that offer, by the way.
Yeah, anytime.
Well, I love quotes, in case you couldn't tell, but the scarcity mindset creates scarcity, and you've seen that because I've seen your social media. By the way, you got one big old thumb. Every one of your pictures, just this big old thumb. There.
Hey, let me tell you a story about that. I started taking pictures like 8 years ago, and I don't know why this happened. And my son goes to A&M now. Now I do have a son that goes an engineering student. And I just started doing it. I was like, why does my thumb go up and I told my wife, why do your thumb? I said, I don't know. Well, then it caught on to one of my managers started doing thumbs. And he goes, well, we noticed every time you take a picture, that's the thumb. So we figured, that's the Aspire2B way. And I'm like, that's probably it. That's something. Now you see in our logo, it's there. And every one of my staff members, if they're in our pictures, they want it. Even when I'm not in it, they're thumbs up. And that's what it is. Hey, man, thumbs up. Have a great day, an awesome day, a blessed day. We just want to let everybody know I got that from scuba diving. When, you go to scuba diving, they're like, I'm good. All good, bro. So that's what we're kind of telling people. So, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, so what you share on social, like you said, it's more like building that culture and building together your staff and stuff. And I listened to a podcast where there was a real estate guy, and one of the questions that a guy asked him, he was like, well, I'm not really into training our competition. And I thought about that, and I was like, man, that is a very scarce mindset. And you being open, like going on podcasts, posting on social media, having a presence. Well, damn, Starbucks found you. Mm-hmm. And so had you been closed off, they probably would have never known you existed. And now because you have that, like you don't believe in a scarcity mindset, it's bringing you opportunity. So I think what you're saying there is the proof is in the pudding. Like you just open your Starbucks. And now, anytime somebody wants to have coffee with you, you own the dang store that y'all can go have coffee.
Right.
How about that, brother? How about
That's
that?
Right.
That's awesome, man. Well, hey, Chris, I appreciate you coming on the show. What I want to do for you now is if people want to get a hold to you, reach out to you, learn more about you, where can they go to do so?
Well, so, you can follow us definitely on our Aspire2B page. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and, my personal, Facebook is open too. And then Lincoln also too. It's Chris Olexa, last name Olexa. Follow us. We're posting a lot, man. We're getting into that stuff. We're doing so much out there and just trying to lift people up. And we have a ton of followers. A couple of my guys on Lincoln, I don't know what this means, but they're in the influencer almost because they have so many followers. I don't accept a lot because I don't know people. They come grab my phone, like accept it. But no, Facebook, Instagram, Aspire2B, and it's Aspire the number 2B. Go follow us on social media and send out a comments, call us up, and we'd love to chat with you. If you ever can send me a personal message and say, hey, can we have coffee like on Zoom? If you're in California, we can just both grab a cup of coffee and talk. It'd be great.
That's right. And you're getting ready to start your own podcast, correct?
Yeah.
You have a name for it yet?
No. So we have a team's working with this right now of kind of how that's going to plan out. It's again, we want to, take off, in the right way. So it's in the works. I can't say when. But I don't know when. I know they're pushing it. We have a deadline of probably end of the summer of trying to start rolling it out. But I think our goal is, and the people that's approached us, we're going to do like 3 episodes before we ever post it, send it off to a lot of professionals and say, is it good? What do we need to prove, or does it really suck? But I think we have a lot of content to offer these, anybody out there that just, first off, just wants to hear something cool and being inspired by, but business beside minded in the hospitality or anything that we're doing as a culture of how we've changed our model of how we run and how we hire and how we treat our employees and do things out there. That's so maverick. That's my word. We're a maverick, and now we've changed that actually, and we're kicking it up to a whole nother level and be obnoxiously maverick hospitality. So you're going to see a lot of that too. But we'll keep you updated on that, man.
Absolutely, Chris. Well, I hope you consider me in your network now.
Oh, yeah.
I will take you up on that offer, by the way. I will. And I appreciate you coming on the show, man. Come back anytime.
Thank you, my friend.
Thanks for listening to the Gorilla State Investing Podcast, where we give you the ground-pounding truth about what it takes to be successful in real estate. Learn more at realfocus.org/Gorilla State Pod.